This is to all my adults who are hurting inside and who are still infants, toddlers, teenagers in the depths of their soul. I pray that you find peace and that you can heal from your mother wound. It is not your fault. You are an important person and you are deserving of love that is whole and complete. When you are dealing with a wound such as the mother wound, it is a very painful feeling. It is all encompassing. It affects us mentally, emotionally, spiritually. When we are born here, as little babies, we are so vulnerable and we are asking questions before we are consciously aware of who we are in this world. When we're lying on our backs and we can't move, we can't do things for ourselves, we are waiting for something. Who is going to clothe me? Who is going to feed me? Who is going to make me feel safe? Who is going to nurture me? Who is going to come to my rescue when I cry? And how well that is done for you will dictate how your brain makes connections, if you will grow up to be healthy. There was a study that was done concerning infants who were in these orphanages, right? And this was like a very long time ago when institutions were just like really dark. Not saying they're not now, but I mean like just terrible place. Babies in orphanages, there were a lot, and it may not have been that one-on-one care. And so they just cried and cried and cried and no one came for them. And so it got to the point where the baby became detached. They followed these babies, I think, until they were adults. I'm not sure, but they had some very serious issues. And I think some of the babies even died, unfortunately, which is very, very sad. There are so many adults, young adults, and teenagers who are children inside. They're infants and toddlers at the core of who they are because they are still asking those internal questions to this day. Just like when they were a baby, who's going to love me? Who's going to give me some attention? Who's going to make me feel safe? Who is going to comfort me? With a mother wound, you have codependent relationships. People may seek out people who they need to almost play that parental motherly figure to them, which can be kind of harmful in relationships, especially we are putting people who are not that individual in a role that is meant to be something else. Like a spouse can never be a parent or a mother for you. So that can kind of create some strain. And also, you may look for a mother in people who typically are not, like a teacher, a community figure, someone that is nurturing, wise, or probably more mature. And it can be upsetting when obviously they're not your mom, they can't be your mom, and you can grow close to them. It's almost like sometimes you can't help it. You try not to because they have these characteristics, especially if they're nurturing and just warm and caring. You can kind of almost feel compelled to fall in love with them in a maternal sense, but get upset because they can't reciprocate it in that way. Adults who are hurting inside and who are still infants, toddlers, teenagers in the depths of their soul. I pray that you find peace and that you can heal from your mother wound. It is not your fault looking for love in all the wrong places. This is to all my adults who are hurting inside and who are still infants, toddlers, teenagers in the depths of their soul. I pray that you find peace and that you can heal from your mother wound. I know that you're probably wondering, Anja, you said all that. How do I heal? How do I feel whole? How do I fill that void, that painful, gaping void that I feel in my heart? The first thing is affirming yourself and starting to love yourself. Yes, all relationships start with self. The most important relationship that you will ever have outside of all the others is the relationship you have with yourself. your worldview and your point of view. How, when you look in the mirror, how do you reflect back on the person who is in the mirror? And so from childhood, you may feel like you're bad, you're unworthy, you're worthless, you're useless. When you are abandoned, it can make you feel like you just simply don't belong and you're not wanted. And it can come so abruptly when you least expect it. People are not able to have the essence of their mother because of death, substance abuse, addiction to drugs, severe mental illness or abuse, or just a toxic relationship. A mom who does not have the capacity to love and nurture their child, whether the parent called their child all type of bees and holes, basically everything but a child of God, abused their child and basically essentially made them feel unwanted. That can make you really hate yourself. But you have to truly look in the mirror and say that I matter. I have a purpose. Because if I didn't have a purpose, I wouldn't be here. When you lean into purpose, which is your why, your reason for being and existing, that can really give you a purpose for living, because you just don't exist merely for your own sake. We exist for the sake of others and to create relationships, to evolve here on earth as a human being. So how do you find your purpose? How do you get to know yourself and find yourself, for lack of a better words? Well, it's in your interest. Figure out the things that you like and gravitate towards, gifts that you may have. Everybody is gifted and talented in some way, and it doesn't look the same. And when you get out of yourself and help others, helping others gives us a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging, and it can make us feel full. It makes us feel whole, because when you help other people, it lightens the load in someone else's life. It makes them feel seen. And we feel good in return because it helps us to feel seen. But first you have to see yourself as being worthy, that you are not worthless because you may feel that you are abandoned or you didn't get enough love that you needed to thrive. Well, loving yourself is being good to yourself. Speaking to yourself almost like you would a baby or an infant. And sometimes we have to treat ourselves like that, because I myself, who have been through this, I'm not one of those people who knows all about it and can tell you about it, but I'm not telling you how I know. I know this because I've been through it. I was a foster child. I spent about 9 years of my life going in and out of foster care and bouncing around to family members' homes and people I didn't know. And there was a certain level of uncertainty that came with that kind of made me cold. It made my emotions all over the place. I turned off my feelings. I had a very toxic view of myself. And I started to kind of take it out on my body. Like I had body dysmorphia, because I just felt like empty, like I was lacking, like I just simply couldn't get enough of whatever it was. I tried various things to fill the void, but when I really started to understand like what it was, and it was the mother wound. I have been in intense therapy for many years. This is not something that you have to just, I'm one and done. I'm going to just, and I get therapy is not for everyone, but you have to find something that brings you peace, and that is an outlet for you, whether it's a support group, whether it's a spiritual organization or a religion, or spiritual practice, whether you go out in nature and developing healthy relationships, because the mother wound is, and it's the root of it is a relationship. One of the most important relationships that we have on this earth, probably one of our first major relationship, is a relationship between mother and child. And so it makes sense that you would have trouble forming and maintaining relationships because it's that abandonment. Oh, what if I get close to a person that's just going to always leave me? Or you may have unrealistic expectations, right? Because you want people to do a certain thing or treat you a certain way, and they're simply probably not able to. It's our responsibility to do the work. And I know the work can be challenging or painful, but I want you to stay the course. It is something so beautiful waiting for you on the other side. And whether you like to see God as God, the universe, a higher force or what have you, spirituality is real. And even if you're not spiritual, psychologically, what you tell yourself is real on a quantum level, scientifically. So whatever you put out in the atmosphere, whatever you think the most, it becomes your reality. And you can make anything possible with this up here and with this in here. And guess what? There was so many people that came into my life that was a mother to me. Out the blue. I went many years with it seemed like I didn't have anyone to care for me or love me. I was still longing. But there were women who came into my life and played that role for me. So just because something seems a certain way now does not mean that it will be that way forever. But this is all I have for now. Come back and chat.